Hi Student Success, this is your video for the very first week of the semester, week 1, which runs from June 7th through the 13th. So hopefully you've had a chance to already read my emails I have sent you prior to the course starting, as well as view my welcome video. So if you haven't viewed the welcome video, it is on the Start Here page, and you'll see there is a general course tour through East State, and then you'll see welcome video, and right underneath it, you will have the video that you can watch. I also sent it to you in a link in your email so that you could view it even not inside the Blackboard course. So again, for just a general overview of the course, please make sure that you watch that welcome video. So we are going to go ahead and click into lessons. We are going to be in week 1. Now remember, per my welcome video, to open week 1, because as of right now, if you didn't complete your syllabus quiz, your week 1 will be grayed out like this. So you have to go in and complete this syllabus quiz and get 100%. So if you take it and even miss one question, week 1's not going to open up. So please make sure you take this syllabus quiz and get 100%, and then week 1 will open. So I'm going to go ahead and click into week 1. And you can see based on the overview that week 1, you are in chapters 1 and 2 of the textbook, which I will kind of lecture from here shortly. And you will see there are actually a lot of assignments going on in this week. So you have 2 discussion posts, which means both of those, you have to respond by both by Wednesday, June 9th to get your week 1 attendance. So you have to go into chapter 1, make your original response, and then go into chapter 2 and make your original response by Wednesday for week 1 attendance. If you only post in one, you're getting half attendance points. You will then respond to 2 other classmates by Sunday. So because there's 2 forums, that means 4 responses total. You're welcome to respond to more, but the minimum 2 in each forum by Sunday. Then you'll see there is a training quiz, a Title IX training quiz, a college resources digital scavenger hunt. Those are both due by Sunday as well. And then this is called Handshake. It's just asking you to create an account so that you can use it. It's not graded, but I do really encourage you to get an account because it's like a job posting board, and we'll talk more about that in the Career Services week. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get into the materials folder, and I have some materials already up and running up here. So this is going to go over again. Here are all the things that you're kind of doing, and it says this is the list you can do them in, but that's totally up to you. So chapter 1 textbook link, I already have chapter 1 textbook link open right here. And then chapter 1 slides, you and your college experience. Well, this is a really long PowerPoint. This is uploaded by the coordinator. I do not expect you to go through every single one of these slides, but I will just kind of do an overview, but I will mostly use the chapter 1 as a guide here. You're also going to be in chapter 2 this week. So chapter 2 textbook link is already up there, ready for me in a minute. And then chapter slides, we have 2 sets of slides. Staying motivated, which, is right here. It's only 11 slides. And then I'll open the next one here in just a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and start. So chapter 1. So if you recall from my welcome video, the textbook is really easy to navigate. I'm just going to do the drop-down menu and have chapter 1 like sections up here. But in the meantime, chapter 1 is going to kind of introduce you to the college experience in general. Most of your chapters will start with kind of like a self-assessment. And this is going to talk to you about like your attitude and knowledge as it relates to your college career. And then it's going to have you do some kind of thinking about your goals and planning ahead and what kind of things are you wanting to accomplish. Okay, so this is the overview of what's going to be in the chapter. And then it starts kind of the meat of the chapter. So this is going to give you an overview of, welcome to college. And I always understand that this class is an introduction class. There are people in this class who you are fresh out of high school, literally. You just graduated maybe 2 weeks ago or something. There are some of you who maybe you're just starting your senior year and you're doing some college credit plus courses. Some of you are maybe a year or 2 out of high school and starting. Some of you are transfer students. Some of you have 15 years since your last academic experience. So there is always a nice mix of students. These kind of courses are required in every single 2- and 4-year institution, undergraduate. So I know that there's a mix of people, and I always tell my students, use what is going to be applicable to you. Focus on what's going to be kind of relevant to where you are in your journey here. So this is going to kind of, again, give you like the benefits of a college education, It's going to talk about, how to succeed and how to stay motivated. So it's just giving you that intro to college. The next section talks about who are you, and this is going to give you some learning objectives, and just talking about what is your plan. So this is something I think is important no matter what. Think about kind of what your path is here. Are you planning on, a 2-year degree is kind of it's not accurate because normally it takes people 3.5 years to complete a 2-year degree. So how long do you plan on being in college? How many courses are you going to take? What's going to be difficult or challenging for you? What are some potential obstacles? I think that's important every semester, no matter if you've been in college for a year, 5 years, brand new, doesn't matter. Thinking about these things at the beginning of every semester. Thinking about your values. What are some values? What's important to you? So again, another self-assessments there. You're welcome to take, and it's going to talk to you about that. Now, again, this section right here, thinking about your major and career. Some of you are decided. You know exactly what you want to do. You have already declared. You're in a career community. Some of you are still in high school, so you might not be as 100% certain. And some of you might have just kind of been placed into a career community because you think that's what you want to do, but you're not 100% sure. So this is going to talk to you about the importance of knowing who you are, and there's links to online assessments, to career surveys. And there is a section in our text and in the weeks that talks about the career office on campus in general. This goes over your past experiences with college, who and how you are as a student, some areas of management that you need to kind of take into consideration, and some takeaways. The next section talks about different worlds of different students. So again, this goes back to who are you as a student? Are you full-time, part-time? Are you single, married? Do you have kids? Are you working as well? So all of these things will come into play and make a difference on how you approach your educational experience here. And so this will go through like the different types of students. Traditional, that's your like right out of high school student. A returning student, we have other groups. So a lot of our students at Sark State fall into this category right here, first generation student, meaning out of their immediate family, parents and siblings, they're the first one to go to a 2 or 4 year college. So we have a lot of resources in place for these types of students as well. Some of you might be an international student. We have students with different abilities, full and part-time working students, again, like lots of different kind of categories, if you will, of students. So that goes around that. This section I think is really important. Again, no matter who you are, how do you learn? What methods and strategies do you utilize? Because this is important to know as you start as a new student, as well as every semester. What classes are you taking and how can you utilize your learning style to be most effective? And so this was going to go over kind of the learning process, which I think again is important no matter what stage of your educational path you're on. How can you make the most out of your time in class, out of class, and so on? Your learning style, there are a lot of different preferences when it comes to learning. And so this is going to go over kind of what each of the learning like intelligences and styles are. And you might even be able to see, as you're looking at this, where you might fit in. The Vark is probably the most common approach. And so there is like a link here to the Vark Self-Assessment. So you can take this if you would like to. And then I'm just clicking all over here. And then as you do this, it will show you how to score yourself. I also direct students here, vark-learn.com, because this, if you click here, what is your learning preference? It will score it for you. So you can kind of fill this out, click the 1 or 2 situations that describes you and hit OK, and it'll tell you what your learning style is. And you can also go right to the strategies because it's going to give you tips based on what learning style you have a preference for and help you kind of navigate that. So it's important to know if you don't already know what your learning preference is, because that can help you make the most use of your time in and out of class. This is going to go over some reading, skills and tips. I'm a developmental reading instructor as well at the college. And so I feel like I could really honestly talk about this part for hours, but we will talk about different reading tips and things of that nature. Also, listening skills are an important part of the process, as a person, but, specifically as a college student. So this will go over, again, these learning styles. What is college is the next section. So differences between, small and larger institutions, maybe some expectations you had that may or may not be accurate in terms of what to expect out of your college experience. It's going to talk to you a little bit more about courses. You've got core courses, which everyone has to take, like general ed requirements, and then you have more specific to your major. Some of you might be taking electives. So it's kind of getting used to some of the vernacular as well. Obviously, you guys are in an online course, so it's going to talk about like what you need to do to be successful in an online course. I personally think that teaching and taking online classes are more challenging than a face-to-face, because you really do have to have more self-discipline. You have to be willing to reach out if you have questions. The instructor is not right there in front of you. And so this will talk about all of that and, just again, how to be successful and how to use these college resources. We will be talking about lots of college resources throughout the semester. Also on the Stark State homepage, if you go up under Info 4, because you all are now current students, even if this is your very first class, there is a link of all the resources we have on campus. Now, what is somewhat nice is even prior to COVID, most of these were already very easily accessible online. And now that COVID was in full swing and we're still kind of in COVID mode this summer, most of these are also still really easily accessible online. And so there's a lot of information. Let's say that you need help in general with, research. Well, there's a link to the digital library. Let's say you struggle with computer issues. There's information there. So lots of different resources there. Okay. And then the next little section is talking about success, like how can you be successful, how we can learn from our successes as well as our failures. Most of the time we actually learn more lessons from our failures. It's going to talk about grades, GPA calculations, and so on. And as I said in my welcome video, I kind of go over this, and then it's your expectation, focus in on what you think you really need to look at and pay more attention to. Let's say again, you are brand new, and so you need brand new in terms of like college. You want to learn more about your learning style. Maybe for some of you, this is like your second semester. So you've already had a semester, you know a little bit more about your learning style. You really just need to kind of maybe make sure you're more successful or whatever that case might be. All right, and as I mentioned, the slides for this chapter are quite extensive, so I'm not going to go through all of these slides, but feel free to pull it up on your own and kind of click through. It's going to talk about basically everything the text just talked about, but if you wanted to kind of hone in on certain slides, talking about your major, talking about how your past educational experience goes into play here. So feel free to take a look through here. Again, since it's so lengthy, I'm not going to go through it slide by slide like I might here in the next section. So that is chapter 1. Now, this week is also covering chapter 2. So here we are. Chapter 2 is staying motivated, organized, and on track. I think this is, again, pretty applicable to almost every type of student. So like chapter 1 did, it's going to start with like the self-assessment, planning and goal setting basically, and then it's going to talk about goals and time management. So a lot of students do struggle with time management. We will talk about this off and on throughout the semester, but time management is one of those things. A summer semester is a little different than the spring and fall because people's work schedules might look a little different. Their class schedules look a lot different. So your time management during the summer might vary with how you set it up in the spring and fall. Regardless, you need to kind of set up a study plan that works for your goals. It matches your goals. If your goal is to get all A's this summer, your time needs to reflect that. So setting up a time study schedule, maybe looking at your time and analyzing how you currently spend your time. The next section talks about, setting and reaching goals. How do you set goals? What's the most effective way? And this goes over like that kind of SMART goal setting. There's a little activity there that helps you kind of set some short-term goals, mid goals, and long-term goals, how to set priorities. I'm actually going to go ahead and pull this up. So I'm going to talk about the slides because I think the slides cover it better. So in terms of an overview anyway. So chapter 2, we know it talks about motivation, time management, organization. So staying motivated. Motivation really does, I mean, that's like the longevity piece. If you are not motivated, it's going to be very challenging for you to kind of continue. So you have to have motivation, not only externally, but internally. You have to motivate yourself. So how can we go about doing this? Well, you want to set some goals. This is kind of what section 2.1 is talking about, goal setting, having the right attitude. So you want to be able to set goals. There's a lot of research that says even the act of setting goals helps students become more motivated because they have something to strive for. So you want to kind of jot down some goals you'd like to reach every semester. Academic goals, you can definitely throw in some personal goals there as well. So what are your goals? So this is that SMART goal setting again. Let's say your goal is to get a good GPA. Okay, that's a good goal in theory, but it's not very specific. So what does a good GPA mean? Some person might be like, 4.0. Someone else be like, no, 3.2. So make sure you really specify your goal. Can you measure it? If it's a GPA, well, yeah, you can measure it. Is it realistic? Can you reach that goal and can you adjust it? You might set a GPA goal of a 3.8, and then as you get into the semester, be like, oh my gosh, my anatomy and physiology class is just a lot more tricky than I thought it would be. You can adjust it. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to set my goal now to a 3.6, and I think that's okay. All right. Different types of goals. So we know that they're short term, which is usually, like a month or a few months. Midterm, which is a little bit like 6 months to a year, and then long term, which is going to go beyond that. So you want to set those different types of goals. And then here are the process goals. So you have like an outcome. I want to get a 3.2 GPA. Well, how are you going to get there? What are you going to do to get there? How are you going to study? How are you going to set up your time and your energy to get to that place? And then kind of leveling your goals, making sure that they are set high, but not really out of reach. They're high, but manageable. Making sure that you understand that you have other things on your plate, not just school. Many of you will have families and jobs and other social responsibilities. And then how can you, again, stay motivated? Well, if you have a research paper due in 5 weeks, you don't want to wait 5 weeks to get it started. Break it up. Week 1, get an outline, get your sources. Week 2, start drafting. Break it up into smaller sections. Work on something for a little bit of time, set time limits, set goals for each session, reward yourself, and use resources. So these are more ways to stay organized. Rely on maybe a study group, take breaks, keep up the positive self-talk, add some, it says, choices to your life. Don't procrastinate, because that's obviously going to make you more stressed and not reach those goals. And then check on your motivation. Every week or so, like, how am I doing? Am I motivated to keep going? And if not, what can you do to kind of address those issues? Okay. So again, that's what this is going to talk about here. I'm talking about motivation. What can you do? What happens if you have a negative attitude? Even if you're finding yourself lacking in motivation, that positive self-talk, surround yourself with positive people. So that's what this section will really focus in on as well. The other part of the materials, let me pull that up here. Other part of chapter 2 is talking about organizing your space and time. So you need a space. When COVID hit, a year ago, I needed to find a spot in my house because I wasn't working a ton from home. I had online classes, but I was still on campus quite a bit. So I had to find a place at home to set up. The same with my own kids. I had to find a place that they could study. You need a physical space as well as that mental space. So you need a constant physical space to be able to study and focus. So you also need to make sure that physical space is something associated with studying. It's not like your bed, because that's not normally associated with studying. You might find yourself tired if you're studying and working in your bed. It needs to be available whenever you need it. So if you have the time to study, you need to be able to access it. If you share a home with many people, letting other people know, like, hey, this is my space, this is my time that I need to study. Plan for breaks, and know that sometimes, depending on where you are, you might be interrupted. We don't want to multitask, because multitasking actually can reduce the quality and increase the time it takes for something. So you want to really try to single task things. And then you want to make sure that you are trying to, again, control your time and your study space. So chapter 2, again, will talk to you more about organizing your physical space, whether it's at home, it's in a public space, maybe you find a little place on campus. Hopefully as we open up more, there are a couple really quiet spots on campus I know students really like. And so maybe that can work for you as well. So this is going to, again, give you more suggestions on how to set up your physical space, how we want to maybe avoid technology as a distraction, which is tough when you're taking an online class because you literally can just be like, all right, I'm going to open up a new tab and go do something over here. So, how can you just minimize that distraction and minimize the multitasking, need or desire. And then it's going to talk about organizing your time, which again, I think is a big piece no matter what, especially, even instructors, like every semester we have to set up a different schedule because our class schedules change. So every semester you might have to reevaluate, how are you spending your time? What do you do? And this is going to kind of give you a real quick overview. How do you spend your time? This is like a time analysis, kind of like if you were looking to see where your money is going. Analyze your time. How many hours are you spending every week or every day sleeping, and then times that by 7 per week? How much time are you going to class? That counts, like watching videos in an online class. How much time are you exercising? How much time are you playing video games? And then really look to see where you could spare some of that time. So a time analysis might be a good idea. And this is going to give you suggestions on how to, log into your time, set up your time, some time management tips in general. So I would really recommend, no matter where you are, to look at this section to really evaluate your time and then how you can set yourself up to be successful with your time. Because if you're not putting the time in, it's really going to be difficult for you to be successful. And then procrastination is the one thing that a lot of my students struggle with the most. I will not forget this semester, spring, literally less than a week ago, I had one of my final projects open for 8 weeks. It was a 16-week class. I opened up the final project in week 8. The night it was due at 11:59. I had an email from a student at 9 o'clock and said, I don't understand how to create this PowerPoint for my class. And all I could think of is, you've had 8 weeks. And so I don't know if that was a procrastination issue, a time management issue, what the case was, but this is why it's so important to kind of battle that procrastination, because you're not going to end up being successful if you constantly put things off to the last minute or you don't take advantage of the time that you have. And so this is going to give you suggestions. I love to-do lists. It works really well for me, but you need to find what works for you. How can you plan your time? Do you use electronic or physical planners and management tools? So this is going to talk to you about all those different things. Okay, so as I've mentioned, you will want to spend some time looking through those materials on your own. That overview is just to really give you an idea of what to go over. You will want to read chapters 1 and 2 and look at those on your own. So now let's talk about your assignments. So click in the assignment folder. You have 2 discussion forums, okay? And you can see just kind of by looking at them, they're set up in a very similar fashion. So I'm going to talk about them both. When you go, you're going to see your discussion, and there's 2 parts to chapter 1. Part 1, introduce yourself and discuss your major or certification. Just like a quick sentence. Hi, my name is, and I am majoring in. That's real quick. Part 2, select 4 of the 9 topics below. Okay, so you can see you have 9 topics, and this all kind of relates to chapter 1 material. Select 4 of them. So I'm just going to select the first 4, just for easy sake here. Whatever 4 you decide, you're going to kind of basically fill in the blank. My most negative attitude toward college is stress. Here's what I'll do to be more positive. I'm going to use these stress management techniques, whatever the case is. So you'll see there's 2 statements with every topic. So choose 4 topics and respond to each of the 2 statements in those areas. How you do this, again, this is in my welcome video, but I'll go in here again. You'll click on the forum. It's not going to have anything yet because you have to post first. You're going to hit create thread. It's going to have the prompt pop up again, so you don't have to click back and forth. Down here, it's going to talk to you about here's what you do. Select 4 of the 9. Complete the 2 statements. So here, I'm just going to put chapter 1 discussion. And then down here, I'm going to, do my 4 topics or however you want to do it. Maybe you want to label it attitude, values, whatever. And then I'll hit submit. When you're done, you have to go back in and respond to 2 classmates' posts. So when I say response, it's a couple sentences long, not just I agree or yes or no. Those aren't responses. Those are just things you're quipping in. So a meaningful response. That's how you get all your points for completing chapter 1 discussion. So posting your original response gets you attendance credit, and then responding to 2 students by Sunday gets you the points for the discussion forum. Now you have 2 this week. So after you do chapter 1, go on down to chapter 2. Same kind of concept, only this time you see there's 6 topics. Choose 4 of the 6. So choose 4 of the 6, respond to the 2 statements in each. Again, you have 2 posts this week. You have to do them both by Wednesday to get full week 1 attendance. Then by Sunday, you want to respond to 2 students in each forum. Okay, each forum, you want to respond to 2 students by Sunday. So 4 responses total, 2 in each. Okay. Complete the chapter 2 discussion the same way I just did chapter 1. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. Now here are the 2 other assignments. These are both due by Sunday the 13th. Title IX training and quiz. You'll click on this and it's going to open up into like a moving, talking PowerPoint, so to speak. And so when you go through here, you're going to click next and it's designed to talk to you a little bit. And so you're going to go through and it's going to ask you some questions. And then on the very last slide, just make sure it's completed all the way through and that you've answered all the questions. It's an automatically graded assignment. So how you know you're done is click into My Grades and you can see, here's the title quiz. Make sure that you have a grade there, that it doesn't say in progress. Now, it might not be immediate, but an hour later or so, go in and just double check that it recorded, because I cannot necessarily go in and see your grades all the time unless you've actually attempted it and got to the last slide, and then I can see, but you want to make sure that it records that grade. So that's the title. Sorry, let me get back in here. Discussion post, Title IX training quiz. The other one is your college resource digital scavenger hunt. It's going to do another one of these. Whoops, I'm going to allow the pop-ups there. It's going to be another one of these talking, moving.
College.
Here, I'm going to hit next, and it's going to ask you to go through things, and it's going to give you things to click on and try. And it's going to ask you questions about where things are located. Okay? So again, once you're done with this, you want to go back to your grade book and make sure that it is recorded. So chapter 1 and 2 discussion, I will manually have to put those grades in. Your Title IX training quiz and your college resources scavenger hunt, those are automatically graded assignments that you just want to make sure Blackboard has got a hold of. Once you have completed your 2 assignments right here, your 2 original responses and your 2 responses to classmates, I will message you inside the course messages and say, hey, you're all done with week 1. So you know you're on the right track. The other thing is, and we'll talk about this more in Career Services Week, here's the Handshake, and we're just asking that you register. That's all you have to do right now. Register, and it's like a job posting forum for Stark State College students, and it's kind of like, like a Monster or an Indeed type thing, but it's specific to our college. It's really helpful. So I encourage you to kind of click in there, look around, and there's videos and links to help you register. All right, so that is week 1. Not all weeks will have this long of a video, I promise, but because it's the first week, it is a little lengthier. So as a recap, you are reading and looking at materials for chapter 1 and 2. You are posting your original response for the chapter 1 and chapter 2 discussion forum by Wednesday, June 9th. Respond to 2 classmates in each of those forums by Sunday the 13th. And then complete the Title IX training and quiz and the College Resources Digital Scavenger Hunt, both by Sunday the 13th as well. And that'll complete your week 1. Hope everyone has a great week. Bye.